And so what we want to do now is apply all the things that we've learned as we watch some clips from speeches in some of our favorite movies. And so we'll be watching these clips and you'll be able to see our reactions and we'll be able to analyze them through a public speaking perspective.
We've had a lot of practice watching our peers over the course of this class, which has provided us a lot of practice, and now we're going to watch these movie clips. Some are very well done speeches and some have some problems, and so we're going to especially look at what could have been done better and what we really liked and what we have strived to achieve in our own public speaking over the course of this class.
Cool. Let's begin.
So right off the bat, we notice his posture. He is not owning his stage. He's slumped over, head down.
Doesn't look very happy or excited to be there.
Yeah, no.
Hello? I don't have much to say.
Awful hook.
Right.
There is no hook.
Just saying you don't have much to say is like, okay, well, we don't need to listen to you now.
And to bring it good luck. El Santo Niño de Atocha is a good one. My Aunt Concha has seen him. And we have a great FFA schedule lined up. And I like to
Even
see
just
more of
watching it,
that.
I'm like confused about where he's going with this. I
Yeah.
don't really know why he's
If you
speaking
vote for me,
or what the point is.
all of your wildest dreams will come true. Thank you.
He has no facial expression. I don't think it changed one bit.
No vocal variety, nothing.
Right. And walking off, he just looks super depressed. He knew it went bad and yeah, wow. So overall, what do you think of that? Were you persuaded or?
Definitely like
Moved.
anti-suasion there. Some very strong anti-suasion vibes going on.
Right, definitely -2 on the score.
Yeah. Just, he didn't know his audience. I think that was one of his big issues. He's looking at a mostly white audience who probably doesn't connect with this Santa, whoever.
Right.
And so they don't know who he's talking about. They don't have any connection or desire to connect to him, and why would they vote for someone they can't connect to? So just if he'd like gone around, got to know a few people, got to know what they cared about, like he said, your wildest dreams, what would that be for them?
Right, he obviously doesn't know what they want or what they need, because if he did, then he might have been more specific in promising them some things that he was going to do or some activities that he was going to start.
Yeah, we learned about how to be persuasive. We talked about tests, some testimonials, like this is how I'd be a good student body president, and this is how examples of what I do right now, and here's some statistics to show what I'm doing, and some stories to show how I've done this in the past.
Right.
But he has none of those elements in his speech.
I know, and I think another big part was that he didn't show any emotion. He didn't look excited to be there or like he really wanted this position. I mean, if someone asked me to vote for them and they're like, just like so bored and so unconvincing, I was like, no, like you're obviously going to be boring and no fun to lead us, so of course I'm not going to choose you. So I think just adding some simple vocal variety, some excitement, a smile would go a long way to helping him achieve a better connection with his audience.
There's definitely room for improvement in that speech.
Right.
Are you gonna teach us anything, or are we just gonna sit here?
Just do whatever you want.
It's not good stage presence.
I want to learn from my teacher.
Besides that, Freddie, what do you like to do?
I don't know. Burn stuff?
Just go out and have recess.
My parents don't spend $15,000 a year for recess.
What, you want to learn something?
Yes, I do.
What, you want me to teach you something? You want to learn something? All right, here's a useful
some
lesson for you.
questions.
He
Give
gets
up.
up, that's a big start.
Just quit.
I mean,
Because in this life, you can't
Shocking
win.
statements.
Yeah, you can try. But in the end, you're just going to lose big time because the world is run by the man.
Who?
His
The
hat
man.
pictures are
Oh,
very
you don't know
nice,
the
though.
man?
Yeah.
Oh, he's everywhere. In the White House, down the
Eye
hall,
contact
Miss
is
Mullins.
impeccable.
She's the man. And the man
If I was one of
ruined
those
the
students,
ozone,
I'd be
and he's
zeroed in.
burning down the Amazon, and he kidnapped Shamu and put her in a chlorine tank, okay? And there used to be a way to stick it to the man. It was called
he's
rock and roll.
Appealing to what they understand
Guess
their
what?
principal
Oh, no.
SeaWorld.
The man ruined that, too, with a little thing called MTV! So don't waste your time
Wolverine.
trying to make anything cool.
He's definitely passionate about what he's sharing.
Awesome.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the man's just going to
That
call you a
helps.
fat, washed-up loser and crush your soul. So do yourselves a favor and just give up!
Nice ending.
Oh,
Mr. Schneebly, it's after 10. On Tuesdays, the children have music class now.
right, okay. Good work, people. We will continue with our lecture on the man when we return. Have a good music class.
Great. What does that? Okay.
Wow, he did a lot of things well, just maybe not appropriate, maybe?
Yeah. Well, all depending on what he wanted to convey. He definitely connected with his audience, though, by getting their attention with some pretty surprising anecdotes, and then rhetoric rather, and then he used some examples that they can relate to. He said
true.
the principal was the man, and I think they understood that.
I think maybe he should have been a little more prepared with his audience, where he was being appropriate for the setting, being in a school. I mean, he was I felt myself impassioned by what he was saying, but he, I don't know. I think he got his point across, but maybe not in the proper setting.
Yeah, no, it's true. I remember bringing the audience, but I did like that he did a great job of owning his space. He walked around, he looked very comfortable. He looked like a seasoned university professor, even though he was just a substitute teacher, and a lot of it was how he carried himself, how he used his hands, thought-provoking questions, so that was really good.
That's true. I guess with him starting off at one point, sitting down and being not very interactive, to then by the end he was super passionate. It was he took you along for the journey and got you more pumped as he was going, and he himself got more excited and thrilled as he was going along.
Totally, and arguably that could have been one way that he could improve. In the beginning, he just doesn't care, and that's not a very good strategy for impassioning your audience, but when he got to his feet, he had good posture, he looked him in the eye, he used vocal variety, he really drew him in. I thought that was great.
Yeah, loved it.
Totally.
I want to see that movie now.
Well, right
the
off
hell
the
have
bat,
you
you can
been?
see she doesn't want to be
Everywhere I
noticed.
look,
She's
you're not
trying
where
to
I need
sneak
you to
back
be.
in.
It's not
And
my
then she has to
imagination. Now,
confront
where the hell do
this
you go every day?
angry man.
To the bathroom, sir.
The bathroom.
I love how she stays standing,
damn
though,
bathroom.
to address him as he asks
For
her
40 minutes a
questions.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shows that she's not shy or she's going to shirk away, but she's ready to have a full-on conversation.
Right. She's prepared to meet this and
There's
deal
no
with it and
bathroom
not let it go
here.
unnoticed any longer.
What do you mean there's no bathroom for you here?
There is no bathroom. There are no colored
She
bathrooms
is doing
in
the
this
fig
building,
leaf, though. We've
or
seen
any
that a
building
couple of
outside
times.
West Campus,
Right.
which is half a mile away. Did you know that?
She is, but I love her passion.
I
You can
have to
see
walk
so
the
easily that she
just
cares
to
about this,
relieve
and it's been
myself.
something that's been
And I can't
frustrating
use
her
one
for a
handy
long time. And
device.
finally, she has
Fix
a
that, Mr.
place to share her
My
feelings,
uniform.
and she's
Skirt
obviously
below
got
my
her
knees,
boss's
heels,
attention, and everyone else in the
simple
room
string of
is also
pearls.
listening
Well,
to
I
her.
don't own pearls. Lord knows you don't pay colors enough to afford pearls. And I work like a dog, day and night, living off of coffee from a pot none of you want to touch.
I love how she addresses everybody else in the room because that's her audience. It's not just the manager or the head person, but it's everybody. She involves them in the conversation.
Right. And I love right here how she regains her
To the restroom a few times a day.
her composure and really uses her quietness as a juxtaposition against her anger to really bring home the point of what she's trying to get across. You can see everyone is surprised, but takes notice of her. They won't forget that easily.
Yeah. She definitely left an impression on him, I would say, with the
Right.
way she presented herself, the way she spoke. her belief in the things that she had to share.
I think so too. I think one of the strongest things that she had was her passion and her conviction, and just like the facts of her story. Like, she was really trying to do her best, and it was their fault, and she made them see that. Because during segregation, the white man just felt justified, and they felt like these traditions and these segregation was just normal, but she was like, no, this is wrong, and this is why, and if you're gonna make me do this, then I need the time and the allowance to conform to these regulations. So it really made them think about what they were doing and how it was affecting her and their whole work.
Yeah, it's true. And instead of being passive aggressive, something that she did is use public speaking principles to be able to address it instead of being passive aggressive or not addressing it or shirking away. It can be a powerful tool in everyday life to address those differences that we may have.
Right. We know that speaking well can really bring about change, and I think that's what she started. Okay.
The special will now give an eloquent speech.
He looks so scared.
And he waits.
Go ahead, man. You got this.
Should have just started walking as soon as he was announced.
Yeah. He looks as scared as I feel during speeches.
But you don't show it.
Hello, I'm Emmett. Oh, and this is the piece of resistance.
They're totally with him. He's got his audience.
Good, great hook, getting them on his side.
Right?
Thank you. Well, I know that I, for one, am very excited to work with you guys.
Making them feel
Get into
good.
the Octane Tower, find the Craggle, and put this thing on the thing. And I know it's going to be really hard.
Really hard? Wiping ye bum with a hook for a hand is really hard. This
Oh
be
my
impossible.
heckler.
Last time we tried to storm Lord Business's office,
Yep.
we used every plan we could conceive.
He
The
leans away
result
from him
was a
instead
massacre too terrible
of
to
making any
speak
sort of
Who are
movement
you?
to stop
My
them
name be
He looks so
Metalbeard,
intimidated.
and I'll tell you me tale of woe.
by his audience.
I arrived at the foot
You
of
can
the
see the
tower
audience is
with
very-
me hardy
they're like,
master
"Ugh."
builder crew.
You could have stopped it then.
The Craggle was all the way up on the
still can.
50th floor, guarded by a robot army and security measures of every kind imaginable.
This is a
Lasers,
complete tangent. It's not even his speech anymore.
laser sharks, overbearing assistants, and strange, dangerous relics that entrap, snap, and zap. And there be a mysterious room called the Think Tank. I barely made
What
it
is he
out
even
of that
talking about
room
anymore?
with just me head
Beats me.
I don't even remember what the speech is supposed to be
and
about.
organs.
Okay.
I had to replace every part of my once strapping, virile pirate body with this useless hunk of garbage.
If
you
he
see
just stopped
before
it, the audience would be on his side because he could tell they're
it'd be a good
uncomfortable
idea
too.
to
Yeah.
return to that forsaken place special. What idea have ye that be better than the ideas of 100 of our fallen master builder brothers?
Well,
Filler words.
technically I'm not exactly a master builder yet.
What?
He used a false sense of
Everyone!
authority.
Rubbish! Yes, it's true. I may not be a master builder. I may not have a lot of experience fighting or leading or coming up
He's
with
got to come
plans
up with something good to.
or having ideas
His hand
in
gestures are
general.
good though.
Yeah.
Always coming back to
In fact,
neutral.
I'm not all that smart. And I'm not what
At
you
some point, he
call a
needs to turn this
creative
around,
type.
otherwise, it's not going to go well for
Plus,
him.
generally unskilled. Also, scared and cowardly.
The music is, I mean, helping, but what he's
I know
saying
what you're
is not.
thinking. He is the least qualified person in the world to lead
Yeah, don't
us.
acknowledge that. Don't even get that far.
And you are right.
That's just supposed to make us feel better.
Valid.
There was about to be a but.
You're a butt!
Yes.
You all be on your own! I believe in this lost cause!
I feel like this is the worst thing that could happen during a
Why are
speech.
you leaving?
People just get up and leave.
against itself would be better than this.
Even Abraham Lincoln's
Abraham
speeching
Lincoln,
out.
you bring your space chair right back here. Come on, guys. We can still do this. Right?
He just let it get away from him.
Yep.
If he'd just stopped that heckler at the very beginning, right when he'd started, would have made a complete difference, and it would have been a successful story. A successful speech, I guess.
But we still don't even know what his plan is. He never got that far because he let the heckler.
You're right. I didn't even realize that. Because the heckler got me so far gone. Man, I feel so bad for him. He had such potential.
Started off great. Lost it fast.
Man. Reminds me of Michael. The heckler from our class. Who's next?
Accused of practicing medicine without a license. It's a very grave charge, son. Are you aware that it's unlawful to practice medicine without a medical license?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you aware that running a medical clinic without the proper licensing can place both you and the public in a great deal of danger?
Is a home a clinic, sir?
If you are admitting patients and treating them, physical location is irrelevant.
Yes, sir.
Where do you
define treatment for me?
Yeah.
As treatment
I
would
love
be
how he's
defined
now
as the
standing
care
and
of a
came to
patient
his
seeking
feet.
medical attention.
Totally. Not
Have you
intimidated.
been treating patients, Mr. Adams?
Well, sir, I live with several people. They come and go as
Owning
they
his
please. I offer
space.
them whatever help I can.
Mr. Adams,
I love
have you
his
or have you
gestures. He
not
gives a
been
gesture
treating
and then he goes
patients
back
at
to
your
neutral.
ranch?
It leaves his body open
Everyone who
to
comes to the ranch is a
questioning.
patient, yes.
Totally.
And every person who comes to the ranch is also a doctor.
That's a
I'm
saving
sorry.
statement because everybody had turned
Every
against him
person
and
who
he's
comes to
bringing
the
him
ranch
back.
is in need of some
Yeah.
form of physical or mental help. They're patients. But also every person who comes to the ranch is in charge of taking care of someone
I'm not
else.
a big fan of the cross.
Cooking for them, cleaning
body.
them, or even a simple task
Oh,
as
the
listening.
fig tree, is that what that's
The
called?
fig tree. He's doing the fig tree, yeah.
I use that term broadly,
True, it
gentlemen,
would
but
do
is
him
not
better
a
if he
doctor
just
someone who
opened up
helps
his
someone else?
hands.
Yeah.
When did the term doctor get treated with such reverence as, oh,
Good eye
right this way,
contact,
Dr.
too.
Smith, or, excuse me, Dr. Scholes, what wonderful foot pads, or, pardon me, Dr. Patterson, but your flatulence has no odor.
I love the humor.
At what point in history did a doctor become more than a trusted and learned friend who visited and treated the ill? Now, you ask me if I've been practicing medicine. Well, if this means opening your door to those in need, those in pain, caring for them, listening to them, applying a cold cloth until a fever breaks.
Good rate.
If this is
Yeah.
practicing medicine, if this is treating a patient, then I am
Keeps it
guilty as
moving.
charged, sir.
Did
And
you
I love
consider
the
the
pauses between each
ramifications
of
of your
those. They were
actions?
important
What if one of your
topics, and he
patients
just
died?
took time to address each
What's
of them.
wrong with death, sir?
Yeah.
What are we so mortally afraid of? Why can't we treat death with a certain amount of humanity and dignity and decency and, God forbid, maybe even humor? Death
I
is
love
not
his
the enemy,
facial
gentlemen.
expressions.
If we're going to fight a disease, let's fight one of the most
Yeah.
terrible diseases of all, indifference. Now, I've sat in your schools and heard people lecture on transference and professional distance. Transference is inevitable, sir. Every human being has an impact on another. Why don't we want that in a patient-doctor relationship?
Again, he's doing a
That's why
gesture,
I've
but
listened
he's
to your
going back
teachings
to
and I
the
believe
fig
they're
tree.
wrong.
He can't.
Yeah, fig tree.
Get
Better
that
let's use our own
Doctor's
space.
mission
Yeah.
should be not just to prevent death, but also to improve the quality of life. That's why you treat a disease, you win, you lose.
Vocal variety
You
here.
treat a person, I guarantee you'll win.
Wow. Yeah.
That was a powerful clip. I was influenced by it. There were a lot of things that he did to influence me. I think his rate, like we talked about, his vocal variety.
I feel like his vocal variety really injected emotion into what he was doing, and that emotional appeal, it appeared, was what kept the audience at bay or even won them over, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when he started going.
Yeah.
And his gestures, I guess, too. I like that.
I feel that too. I also feel like when we are in a public speaking class or just giving an address, it always needs to be something that we're very passionate about because it will always convey that emotion. I also loved how hard questions were asked, but he was able to respond because, again, it was something he was knowledgeable about, passionate about, had a history with, so he could answer those tough questions.
Totally, yeah. And I also love that he wasn't intimidated by all of these big fancy doctors and academics. He held his ground, and that was a big strength, I think, too. So, cool.
So from watching these movies, we learned a lot about different settings you would use public speaking in and the sort of skills you need to have to do public speaking. So first of all, we watched the Hidden Figures and we saw her using her public speaking skills in a job setting. We learned how to show authority even though we aren't necessarily the authoritative figure, using vocal variety, our posture, and just the positioning, like they were both standing up so she wasn't in a lower position of power, using her body language. From Napoleon Dynamite, we learned how not to give a persuasive speech. We learned how to use our posture to be more persuasive and be an authority. We learned about knowing our audience and using vocal variety and those tools to be more persuasive when we need to persuade our audience to our side and way of thinking.
And I, for one, will not be voting for Pedro. So if you're ever voting for running for office, watch it and then don't do what he does. It'll be good, unless you have dance moves.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon. But anyways, in the Lego movie, we learned basically what not to do when you're trying to motivate people in a public speech.
We also learned what not to do with the heckler, because he failed big time with his heckler. His heckler totally took away his momentum.
We learned that when you have a heckler, you need to, stop them as quickly as you can, hopefully in a nice way. And we saw that he just let him run on, and it turned into the heckler's speech and not his own, which is not what you want to have happen when it's your speech. So in Patch Adams, we learned that you need to be prepared for tough questions. It kind of reminded me of our impromptu speeches that we had to do in class, because you don't know what's going to come at you. And Patch Adams, he was prepared for those tough questions. He knew how he was going to answer. And being able to do that in a speech setting is so important, because it gives you that kind of that authoritative feel that you're looking for in a speech.
It helped his persuasive skills to be able to answer those questions, because without them, there's no persuasion going on.
Yeah, and speaking of persuasion, Jack Black, he did a lot of things correct. He was very passionate, very bold in what he was sharing with those school children. But we saw at the beginning he was very kind of laid back. He didn't really care. But then by the end, he was standing up. He was using his hand gestures. He was going back to neutral pretty well. He was able to connect with those kids on a level that they knew. He mentioned SeaWorld. He mentioned things that they would understand, and that helped to give him more credibility with those kids, although maybe that setting wasn't quite possibly the best that he gave it in. So through all these videos, we've seen
both good and bad examples.
Good and bad, yeah.